Salute Broncos country. How y'all doing, man? How we feeling about the Broncos dominating 27-7 win against the Cardinals yesterday? It was great to see the depth again continue to shine, continue to dominate. There's a lot to talk about. We broke it down yesterday at the post game. I'll put the live session that we had with myself, Mile High Mario, David Talks Broncos, and of course our good friend Jeremy at Broncos Unbridled. But what we want to talk about today is some of the PFF grades. I know PFF's a little bit of a controversial platform for many of you. I tend to like a lot of the content that they have. There's obviously some things that I think you got to take with a grain of salt, but nonetheless, very interesting. So let's dive in, guys. Like and subscribe if you're not already. If you love all things Broncos and Denver sports, man, I think you're going to love the channel. So join the community. Let's have a good time. So, here's some notable things. The things that I look at the most when it comes to PFF grades is I look at, okay, how many snaps have players played, right? You're going to see that it's very well kind of spread out, being that is the NFL, that is the preseason, and they're trying to get a lot of guys in. But that's always something that's really important, whether looking at preseason grades or regular season. And the big one that stood out right off the cuff is Calvin Throckmorton, man. And this is somebody that Broncos country needs to familiarize themselves with if they're not already. I'm sure they probably are, given that he's been with the team for a couple of years now. He was with the team last year on the practice squad and played very minimally. But he has a history with Sean Payton. Sean Payton signed this kid as an undrafted free agent, kept him on the practice squad after his first year, and then activated him on the 53 for 2 consecutive seasons before Sean Payton left into this 1-year hiatus. Then Calvin Throckmorton, I believe, went to the Titans and was a backup guard for them that played quite a bit and came back. And with the injury to Nick Gargiulo yesterday, unless they're looking on the waiver wire and they're looking at outside replacements, Calvin Throckmorton significantly increased his chances of making this roster. And it's a positive thing for him because, listen, he's had his moments where he hasn't looked very good, but you have to understand, he's got a long history with Sean Payton. He is now in his second full season, entering with not just in Sean Payton's scheme, but with Zach Strief, the offensive line coach. And he's got tremendous versatility. When he was actually in college in Oregon, he was the only offensive lineman that year to play all 5 offensive line positions. But he's got left guard, right guard, and center versatility. He's a veteran player, somebody that just turned 29 yesterday. So he graded out really well. Played in 23 snaps, had a 90.3 grade, 86.7 in run blocking, 83.9 in pass blocking. So very solid performance. Again, one of those players, you kind of know what you're going to get, but it's going to be really interesting, man. The Nick Gargiulo injury was heartbreaking, and it convolutes a lot with what's going to happen with this offensive line in terms of the 53. Another key thing about Calvin Throckmorton is he's probably somebody that you can sneak through to get onto practice squad if you wanted to. So he gives you a lot of different versatility there. The guy, Pat Bryant, balled out. Michael Bandy had a big game. Jarrett Stidham. I'm not going to go through all of them individually, but it was nice to see Audric Estime, get graded out pretty decently. So overall, he had 10 rushing attempts. We can look at the rushing grade if we want to kind of go through a little bit of the specifics there. But again, Audric Estime 71.2 grade. Thought he played pretty well. Had a long of 7 yards. Well, they thought he played pretty well. I didn't think he played all that good. I think with Audric, his problem right now is that he clearly looks slower than everybody else. And if that's the case, that's fine because we've got some really fast backs. RJ Harvey's got juice. Jaleel McLaughlin's got juice. Tyler Baday's got juice. We know what J.K. Dobbins can do. But he needs to be able to show something special, and he kind of hasn't, right? He looks like he's running in mud compared to these other guys. And he's powerful, but it's not anything that special. Breaks my heart. But I think, Sean Payton yesterday had discussed something. He said, I think that there's going to be a lot of guys on this roster that are on the 53s of guys elsewhere. And I think one of the players that he was discussing, in my opinion, was Audric Estime. I really do believe that, but we will see. Interesting guys, man, is Joe Michalski, somebody that was an undrafted free agent out of Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was one of the worst O-lines in college football last year. But what was intriguing about him is he has a ton of experience. I think 60 plus games or something like that in the 6 years that he's played. And he played at a couple different spots. And he had a very rough start to camp. There was some reports that he was hiking the ball over the head of guys. But he played quite a bit yesterday, man. 43 snaps. They're really giving this guy a good look. I don't think he's going to make the 53, but he could be a sneaky practice squad candidate that they like as they continue to develop. So keep an eye out for him. Xavier Truss playing some right guard at 6'7", right? Graded out well with 25 snaps. That was interesting. We're going to focus a lot on the O-line because I think right now it's a very convoluted position. And then guys that struggled, man. I mean, Marquez Cox at left tackle played 43 snaps. Not all that good, especially bad in pass pro, which you don't like to see. Frank Crum, 31 snaps. Again, pass pro was a struggle. We know he's a good run blocker, but he's looked better. He's definitely looked like he's taken a step, but there's still a little bit more there. Alec Polcheski continues to struggle in this preseason. I'm not overly concerned about him. I think that there's a lot of things that go into him struggling. I mean, he had 2 penalties again, but you're playing with an entirely different unit. We saw a really good sample size last year when he was a starting right tackle filling in for Mike McGlinchey, and he played really well. I'm going to continue to bank on that. I don't think there's no way he's taken that much of a step back. So I'm still optimistic about him. Caleb Lohner, I'm actually really surprised he had a 46 grade overall with the 3 penalties. He looked like he was really struggling out there. Lucas Kroll struggled a lot, I guess. Somebody that I keep forgetting about for whatever reason. So there's that. Nick Gargiulo struggled a lot before he broke his leg or messed up his knee. Like I said, really heartbreaking. Hated it for him. Definitely felt like he struggled a little bit more this game, but he's had his good moments. And then look at this, Will Sherman and Clay Webb. I mean, Will Sherman played 78 snaps. Clay Webb played 32. So they got good work in. But guys really struggled. So again, the depth at O-line is something that is definitely of concern, in my opinion. One other thing that I wanted to highlight here was Payton Prescorn, man. The guy continues to just get better and better and better, and I love it. I love the story. He was not even a priority free agent at all. He signed even with the Detroit Lions late, well after a lot of the free agents signed, and then they cut him. And then the Broncos said, we'll take a chance on him, and all he's done is make plays. I love what I've seen from him on, I love what I've seen from him in terms of his versatility. I like what I've seen from him in special teams, which I wanted to highlight here. I don't know how he necessarily graded out. 60, he had 1 special team snap yesterday. But from what you hear about him in terms of his willingness to play special teams, specifically in the kick and the punting kind of coverage game, it's cool. But I like what I've seen from him, man. I mean, he played 29 snaps yesterday, right? And I thought he even showed that he's got a little bit of juice and a little bit of receiving chops, aside from him being decent at blocking, which he graded out pretty good in both the pass and the run block. I love the fact that he was playing some fullback, so that H-back role is something that's really big. Watch out for him. I'm definitely rooting for Payton Prescorn. I think we needed as many different types of options in our tight end room. So interesting there, and he's somebody that I think's got a really good chance to make the 53, especially with Nate Atkins out for at least the first month of the season, in my opinion. So interesting stuff. Yeah, I'll leave. I can't really leave the link because this is a premium subscription, but we'll go through some of the defensive guys as well, so you guys can get a little bit of a sneak peek on there as well. Look at Andrew Farmer, man, absolutely balling. 11 snaps, so not a whole bunch. 3 coverage snaps, but killed it, crushed it in coverage. And had 2 big time stops with the 2 tackles that he had. So he popped. I thought Jordan Turner looked really good. Yes, he played with the 3s and the 4s, but he stood out. Like his speed and his instincts were clear. So you like to see that. So he's someone that's interesting. JB Brown, we've got some really good competition for the depth in terms of the inside linebacker position, which you love to see. And it's surprisingly not really so much from Lavelle Bailey. Thought he played pretty decently yesterday, but he hasn't really popped the way like Karene Reed has popped, and the way that Jordan Turner looked yesterday. I thought those guys really stood out. But Karene Reed again stacked another really good day. Looked solid in his 19 snaps. Liked how he looked in coverage. He was flying around, man. And so he was somebody that I was really pleasantly surprised to see. And then. So that's kind of one of the positions where I feel like it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be interesting to see what we do with Andrew Farmer. He could be one of those guys Sean Payton was talking about too that might not make the 53 here. They would love to have him, as on the practice squad, but he might get signed somewhere else because he's popped a little bit. He's looked really, really good. And it's been kind of talked about consistently how he's had a really, really good offseason overall. And then, down here, unfortunate for Jordan Miller, right? He had 24 snaps, graded out horrendously across the board. He was somebody that I knew was a long shot, but and I still think he'll be a practice squad guy, but he was in a unique position because he's really the only true nose tackle we have on our team outside of DJ Jones, who I wouldn't even consider DJ Jones as a true nose. He just plays nose the most and does it really well, but he's kind of got the versatility there. So that's been a little bit frustrating. That's going to be another part of the defensive line. That group is going to be another one where maybe there's a guy we bring from the outside that's a very big body, just a heavy dude that makes the team. If it's not going to be Ioma Uwazurike, who I think personally will absolutely make the 53 for all of the reasons that we listed, right? He's just got the size and the versatility that we really could use on the depth of the defensive line. But our starters are locked and loaded. Good to go there. Jaden Robinson, man, I think he's quietly had a really good offseason. I think he's somebody that they would love to get back on the practice squad, but he could get picked up by another team looking at a young corner for sure. But I think he's a really good player, man. Really liked what I've seen from him. But like I said, way too deep on the in the cornerback room for anything else to happen. Otherwise, nothing else really stood out of surprise. It was nice to see Keydron Smith out there playing well again yesterday. He had a really big hit. Kind of forgot about him. He was the guy that had a really good preseason last year. So good to see him. We'll see what ultimately happens there. Jonah Ellis, no surprise. The guy's an absolute monster. He really is. And it looks like Damari Mathis's days are numbered. Devin Key's days might be numbered, man. They really might be. With JL Skinner staying healthy and stepping up, and then obviously Sam Franklin, who didn't show out well, but I mean, they like him as a special teams kind of guru, so we'll see. It's going to be interesting with him, but I don't know about Devin Key, man. I think he's somebody that could certainly not make this team because we've got a lot of guys that can play safety and play it really, really well. And I don't think we're going to keep 5 of them. So it gets a little bit convoluted there. Anyways, man, I'd love to know you guys' thoughts overall on yesterday's game. Who really stood out to you? I think with the injury to Nick Gargiulo, there's going to be a lot of... It makes for a final 53. It makes it very, very tough. I'm going to have my final 53, my official final 53 prediction roster. Maybe this week. I think I will do it sometime this week because I don't know if we're going to learn much in the Saints game or if it's going to change too much in the Saints game. But we're going to see. I will be interested to see who they end up bringing in to replace Nick Gargiulo once he ends up going on IR, which is really tough. But the reason I chuckled a little bit is because it's probably going to be a corner. We're just so in love with cornerbacks. Matt Henningsen goes on IR, we bring in a corner. Johnny Walker goes on IR, we bring in a corner. And we're so deep at corner. So I'm hoping it's not a corner, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see who we bring in. But let me know y'all thoughts below, man. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Go Broncos, baby. And until the next video,